Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov has reassured Egyptian authorities that their ordered Russian grains would be delivered. The Russian top diplomat was speaking during a visit to the North African nation amid the geopolitical crisis in Western Europe, which has adversely disrupted the global food supply. Now, Egypt heavily relies on Russia and Ukraine on its wheat importation, thus calling for consensus between the two countries. Here's more details of that in this report.
The visit was an opportunity by the Russian foreign minister to address concerns on the impact of the ongoing conflict in Ukraine on Egypt's food security. Egypt, which is the largest wheat importer in the world, depends on 80% of its commodity supplies from both Russia and Ukraine.
The crisis had its impact on our food security and energy. Global economies have been affected by inflation and supply chain disruptions, which we have to avoid, especially now that we are trying to recover from the fallout of 2 years caused by the coronavirus pandemic, which has put us under huge economic strains.
The Russian top diplomat blamed the West for the latest supply disruptions.
There are currently big sanctions on Russia, which prevents our efforts to develop ties with Africa, especially with restrictions on shipments and access to international ports.
Lavrov assured that the Black Sea Safe Passage Agreement, which was signed in Turkey on Friday, would facilitate a steady supply of Russian wheat to Egypt. The Russian foreign minister stressed that trade between the two nations is flourishing despite the ongoing geopolitical difficulties in Eastern Europe.
Bilateral trade rose to $4 billion, which is a 5% increase year on year. There are plans to reach unprecedented amounts in our bilateral trade. We are planning to increase economic cooperation through the special joint government committee that's been established between us.
Moscow is seeking more presence in developing countries like Egypt to counter Western influence, and some in the business community support this stance.
Our interests are more with Russia than other countries because we heavily depend on our grains from Russia, as well as raw materials, oil and petrol, steel and other basic necessities. It's also a big market for our citrus products, fruits and raw material.
Cairo says it is adamant to maintain strong ties with the Eastern European nation. Amongst other investments, Russia is building Egypt's first nuclear power plant and a huge industrial city at the Suez Canal economic zone. In addition to these, Russia is the major tourist market for Egypt. Tourism sector is a major source of hard currency for the stricken economy. It's for this reason that Egyptian officials announced they're planning to implement the Russian Mir payment system for financial transactions from September, to encourage more Russian tourists to visit the North African country.